Picture a massive T-Rex, eyes sharp and cold, stepping through a frozen forest blanketed in snow, wind howling through ice-covered trees. It's a strange and surreal image. Could the mighty tyrant lizard have once roamed the Arctic? Sounds more like science fiction than ancient history, right? But surprisingly, modern science is revisiting this very question. Could T.rex, or one of its close relatives, have actually survived and thrived in the far north? To answer that, we need to go back more than 70 million years, to the late Cretaceous period. When we think of the Arctic, we imagine a frozen wasteland, inhospitable to life. But during the Cretaceous, the Arctic was a very different place. There was no permanent ice. Instead, it was a humid, forested land filled with swamps and deciduous trees, with long summers bathed in 24-hour sunlight and long winters cloaked in total darkness, cold, and scarcity. Summer temperatures could range between 10 and 20 degrees Celsius, not much colder than a spring day in Europe. But what made the Arctic extreme wasn't the temperature alone. It was the long months of darkness, frigid dry spells, and the challenge of finding food. Any creature that survived there needed to be incredibly adaptable. And surprisingly, some dinosaurs managed to do just that. In Alaska's Prince Creek Formation, one of the harshest and most remote fossil dig sites in the world, scientists have uncovered a range of dinosaur fossils. These include herbivores like Edmontosaurus, mid-sized carnivores like troodontids and dromaeosaurs, and most notably, a predator nicknamed the Arctic Tyrannosaurus. And the discovery of such fossils has forced paleontologists to ask, if these meat-eating dinosaurs could survive here, could a massive predator like T-Rex have also roamed this land? Keep in mind, T-Rex was a wide-ranging species. It lived in wet lowlands like Hell Creek in Montana and Wyoming, and in coastal floodplains. So why not the Arctic? Was the environment too extreme? Or have we just not found its fossils there yet? One hypothesis suggests that T.rex may have ventured into northern regions during warmer climate phases but didn't stay long, or failed to establish stable populations due to environmental stress. Another theory is that close relatives or ancestors of T.rex lived in the Arctic and evolved differently over time, diverging so much that they are no longer recognizable as classic T.rex. Here's the kicker. The presence of meat-eating dinosaurs in the Arctic is no longer a theory. It's fact. And if close relatives of T.rex lived and hunted here, it's worth asking the reverse. Could T.rex have evolved to survive the Arctic, given enough time and pressure? What we know for sure is this. The Arctic during the age of dinosaurs wasn't a frozen graveyard. It was a thriving, challenging, and dynamic ecosystem. And maybe, just maybe, beneath layers of ancient permafrost, we'll one day uncover the footprint of a true T.rex that once walked this land. In the next part, we'll dive into the mysterious Arctic Tyrannosaurus, Nanuqsaurus hoglundi, and ask whether it might be the clearest evidence yet that T.rex had a northern-born cousin raised in eternal darkness. If T.rex never set foot in the Arctic, then who left those chilling traces in this icy land? The answer lies in a name that feels both strange and familiar: Nanuqsaurus hoglundi, also known as the Arctic Tyrannosaurus. It's one of the most important paleontological discoveries in Alaska over the past decade, and may hold the key to understanding whether T.rex could have survived in such a harsh environment. Nanuqsaurus was first discovered in 2006 in the Prince Creek Formation of Alaska. At first, scientists found only a partial skull and a few fossil fragments. But with advanced analysis, they identified a completely new tyrannosaurid species, closely related to T.rex, but with some remarkable differences. Nanuqsaurus wasn't T.rex, but it was one of its closest known relatives to live at such high latitudes. So what makes Nanoxaurus different? First, it was much smaller than T-Rex. While T-Rex could grow up to 12 meters long and weigh up to 9 tons, Nanoxaurus was only around 6 meters long and significantly lighter. A smaller size meant less energy consumption, a major advantage in an environment where long winters and food shortages were the norm. Another fascinating point is that its skull structure and nervous system may have evolved to deal with prolonged darkness. With Arctic winters lasting over 4 months in near-total darkness, having enhanced vision or relying heavily on smell would have been critical. Although the fossil record is limited, some scientists believe Nanoxaurus may have developed improved night vision or heightened olfactory senses to hunt in low light. There's also a compelling hypothesis about feathers. Young tyrannosaurids are believed to have had a covering of downy feathers, similar to modern chicks. Some paleontologists argue that Nanoxaurus, living in a colder climate, may have retained or evolved a thicker feather coat into adulthood for warmth. If true, the idea of a feathered tyrannosaur stalking prey in the snow is no longer fantasy, but a scientifically plausible image. This raises an important question. Was Nanoxaurus just a side branch of the T.Rex family tree? Or is it evidence that tyrannosaurids could evolve dramatically to survive diverse climates? If T.Rex couldn't live in the Arctic, its relatives clearly could, which says a lot about the family's survival potential and adaptability. Interestingly, other species living alongside Nanoxaurus also show similar patterns of reduced size and special adaptations. The Arctic variant of Edmontosaurus, for instance, was smaller than its southern relatives. This suggests that the entire Arctic ecosystem may have undergone a form of dwarf evolution to conserve energy and survive harsh conditions. In that context, Nanoxaurus wasn't an anomaly. It was the product of a unique evolutionary path. This leads to another intriguing theory. Could T.Rex have descended from cold climate ancestors, only to later migrate south and grow larger over time? Or was T.Rex the main lineage, and Nanoxaurus a smaller offshoot that split off when the northern climate demanded a different survival strategy? Both theories are valid, but there's not yet enough evidence to confirm either. Still, Nanoxaurus plays a crucial role in piecing together the evolutionary history of tyrannosaurids. It proves that meat-eating dinosaurs weren't confined to warm regions. They could survive in extreme conditions and may have even thrived there. And if a close relative of T.Rex could adapt to the Arctic, then, at the very least, we cannot rule out the possibility that T.Rex once wandered there, even briefly. In the final part, we'll ask the ultimate questions. If T.Rex had ever lived in the Arctic, what changes would it have needed to survive? And if it never did, then is the legend of the Arctic T.Rex merely the legacy of a cousin that evolved to take its place? After everything we've explored, from the ancient Arctic climate to the discovery of Nanoxaurus, the question still lingers, full of mystery and without a clear answer. Did T.Rex truly live in the Arctic? Or is it just a legend born from a distant cousin? To find clarity, we have to revisit the evidence, and more importantly, what we still don't know. First, we must acknowledge a key fact. No T.Rex fossils have ever been found in the Arctic. No bite marks, no skulls, no footprints. All known T.Rex remains are concentrated in southern regions like Montana, South Dakota, and Wyoming. Temperate zones, not polar ones. This leads many paleontologists to lean toward the idea that T.Rex never reached the far north. But that doesn't mean the possibility can be dismissed. Remember, about 80 to 90% of all fossils on Earth remain undiscovered. And in a place like Alaska, with its ice, remote terrain, and challenging excavation conditions, Absence of evidence does not equal evidence of absence. It's possible that T-Rex wandered north during periods of climate fluctuation, or that small populations briefly existed without leaving clear fossil traces. Another critical question is, was T-Rex's body even built to survive Arctic conditions? Its massive size required enormous caloric intake, and Arctic winters lasted for months, with darkness, cold, and little available food. Could such a large creature survive those conditions? Or would it starve or freeze? Some scientists suggest that if T-Rex had lived in the Arctic, it would have needed to evolve specific adaptations, insulating feathers, altered metabolism, better night vision, or even a smaller size to conserve energy. But if so many changes were necessary, would it still be T-Rex? Or would it have become a new species altogether, much like Nanoxaurus, a northern cousin that took a different evolutionary path? That leads us to an open conclusion. There is no definitive evidence that T-Rex ever lived in the Arctic, but there's also no proof it didn't. What's more important is this: the existence of close relatives like Nanoxaurus proves that the Tyrannosauridae family was highly adaptable. Perhaps the legend of an Arctic T-Rex isn't literal truth, but it's not pure fiction either. It's a reflection of a parallel evolutionary story, where a carnivorous dinosaur carrying the tyrant bloodline learned to survive in eternal darkness beneath the icy canopies of prehistoric northern forests. And that makes the story even more compelling, because in the ancient world, it wasn't the strongest that survived, but the most adaptable. If T-Rex couldn't master the cold, maybe Nanoxaurus did, becoming a shadow king, quietly ruling a land of snow that the original tyrant never touched. So what do you think? Do you believe the Arctic T-Rex theory could be true? Did the most iconic dinosaur in history ever step into the polar wilderness? Or are we just projecting a myth from the bones of a northern cousin? And if one day, under layers of permafrost, scientists unearth a genuine T-Rex fossil in the Arctic, would it rewrite everything we thought we knew? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because in upcoming episodes, we'll continue uncovering strange evolutionary paths, where dinosaurs didn't just survive, they adapted in ways no one ever expected. Because in the world that existed millions of years ago, anything was possible, even a tyrant walking through snow.